Good morning, folks. This is Anne Marie, and we're going to take a look at Apple today. Now, Apple is in a very interesting pattern. What I wanted to do is show you a wide angle first, and that wide angle shows us a small gap down here that's about $4 wide that is still open, and then a larger gap down here, which is quite a bit larger and quite a bit below us. Now, those are the things that we want to think about. You know, I'm one of those folks that say gaps will fill. Sometimes it just takes a long time, right? Gaps stay open for years sometimes, but invariably most of them fill. And it seems that Apple may not be any exception to that as we take a look at what's going on here. Now, as far as Apple goes, it does have a tendency to fill its gaps over time. And so we can see that that's an anomaly for it to remain unfilled. So that should be a warning signal to some of us as we take a look at things. For right now, however, we do seem to be in the completion of a very attractive looking crab. All right, now interestingly enough, there are two different spaces that this chart can end up in, but look at how nicely this works mechanically. For those of you who trade these patterns, it works right there to the shades. They're almost spot on in terms of rotation. This one's coming right into the 3.14. Not only that, Apple is really holding its linear regression channels across time frames, and that's always something for us to consider. Whenever something is sitting at a space in so many time frames, it is a very natural place for a lot of people to get involved. And remember, the reason your trade ends up working is because a lot of people are doing the same thing as you. So this isn't a space where we're mavericks in a trade and it all works out. No, no. It's a space where we've all got to get involved at the same time. Certainly there are folks on the other side, but the primary move has got to be in the same direction as your particular trade. Now let's take a look at this on an hourly chart and see if we see any bounce action building here. And we do. Look at the CCI. You see the upward movement in the CCI here. It still is in negative trending territory, so it's not a very pretty thing, but it is dampening the downside. So we've got technical divergence because price action continues to drift to the south, but the underlying technical indicators are stating, listen, that drift to the south is getting much weaker, and we really don't need to think about adding any new shorts down here, those of you that are extremely overzealous about such things. All right, the line in the sand today, in my mind, for Apple is the breach above 563. It should run, it's quite extended from the 50, which is something that I also look at, and of course we've got a gap event here. So if the market runs today, this should have a good chance of moving, at least stabilizing. I doubt seriously we have much more downside here in this space, simply because there's so much suggesting in so many different analyses that it's time for Apple to take a breath. And it really has had a very rough go of it. Charts do not go down straight. They do have undulation, and it's time for a bit of undulation here. Now, if you say, well, how long might that go? Enter Mr. Fibonacci, and let's do a retracement event. We'll take it from here to here. This is the last leg. And so the minimum retracement, actually, ought to be 38.2, so we might have a pretty nice go of it. Look at where the 200 is sitting right now at the 70.07. That's good. Standing in the way, the 38.2 is the 50 and the 30. All right, and those things are pretty important. If we can get ourselves up above the VWAP, though, we may have a fighting chance at getting ourselves some kind of move to the upside. Apple has been doing somewhere around 38.2 to 50 retracements on its waves before it moves to the next step. Here's this last wave, and this one took in almost 61.8. So the rhythm of the smaller waves certainly giving us something to go on, although these last waves have been particularly dastardly. So that being said, I think it's a very good shot for Apple to have some upside momentum here. Just pay attention. And after a day like yesterday, where we have this giant flush, the market has a tendency to put the brakes on and say, wait a second, what are we doing here? All right, let's think about this. And I know that's being sort of human about the market, but the market is actually human. It's just all of us together. All our worst tendencies packed into one place. So, that being said, be careful, watch out. I would caution you to add new shorts in Apple at this juncture. Allow it to take a breath. Don't be so excited to rush into the trade. And for those of us that are sitting in Apple going, oh my goodness gracious, when will the bleeding stop? It's time for it to take a little breath. Don't think it's going to be any kind of rebound right now, because the extension on this crab shows a significant move to the downside. And also we have those gaps again that we need to pay attention to. All right. Hey, have a good day today. Expect it to be a little bit boring, but that just means that we get to plan. All right. Don't jump into anything right now. Allow the market to stabilize. Tell us what it's doing. All right. It's always best to be a very careful follower and not a leader. Unless you got about $10 billion that you're working with, then you can afford to be a leader because you can move the market. Right here, you can't move the market. So we just get on the train and ride it as soon as the momentum starts. Good luck today.